boy and his friends rode bicycle everywhere. Their special favorite thing was to ride up to the little store on the main street and sit on the porch and tell stories. Well, they rode up there whether it was daytime or nighttime. And one time it was nighttime and they were sitting on the front porch of the little store telling stories. And it was very, very dark. You could hardly see your hand in front of your face. And they were telling stories. Well, you can imagine what kind of stories they were probably telling.
Scary.
Scary stories, that's right. So they were sitting there on the porch telling scary stories, and all at once a brilliant light shone. And the brilliant light shone all over, and it looked like daytime. And they could not imagine what caused such a brightness in the middle of the night. So they got scared, frankly. But then they jumped up from the porch and started running around to see where this light was coming from. And they looked up in the sky, and what could they see but
airplane!
A flare burning in the sky, giving out this brilliant light. And it was attached to a parachute. And it was coming down, swinging very, very slow on this parachute, casting this brilliant light. And they couldn't imagine why that was. And then all at once they saw, coming down out of the sky was a little airplane. And that airplane used the light from the flare to see where he was going. And can you believe he landed in the meadow right across the stream? The little boys jumped on their bicycle, they rode up the street, they turned the corner, they went down over the covered bridge to the other side of the stream, and right out into the meadow where the pilot was just taxiing his airplane to a stop. Well, they rushed up to the pilot to ask what the problem was, and he said he was lost. He didn't know where he was, he couldn't find it on the map, and he was afraid he was going to run out of gas. So he decided to land the airplane. We said, what are you going to do? He said, well, if I can get some directions where to go, he said, I'll take off and I'll fly away. But I need some gas first. So the little boy and his friends went down to the road that goes by the meadow, and they stopped the cars. And they said, he needs some light and some gasoline. So the little boy and his friends had these cars drive off the road and go out onto the meadow, and in a line up with their headlights on so that the pilot could see where he was going. Well, this caused so much excitement, it wasn't long until the police showed up, and then the ambulance showed up, and then the fire engine showed up, and there even the television crew came and showed up to see what was going on. Well, it turns out that the policeman had a map and he showed the pilot where to go. And the fireman had a big bucket full of gasoline, so he gave him some gasoline. And then they filled the airplane up, and now that the pilot knew where he was and how to get there, he got back in his airplane and he started the engine, and all of the cars had their lights shining out over the meadow so he could see, and he started taxiing down through the meadow, bumping, and as he went by, all the cars along the meadow started blowing their horn, and they were going beep, beep, and he finally got this airplane up in the air, and in order to say thank you, he, what they call, tipped his wings. He tipped his wings like this to say thank you. And everybody was so happy that they were able to help the lost pilot.
I love that story. That is probably my favorite story out of all of them.